Hey everybody! Welcome to Mass Media Galaxy. I'm Brandon,
I'm Eric.
and we just got back from seeing Star Trek Beyond.
I think you're underestimating humanity.
Hold on to something! Fire at will! Do it! Do it!
Star Trek Beyond, directed by Justin Lin, produced by J.J. Abrams, the director of the previous two Star Trek movies, starring Chris Pine, Zoe Saldana, Carl Urban, Simon Pegg, a bunch of other people I can't think off the top of my head. You're a big Star Trek fan?
Yes.
I'm sort of okay. What'd you think?
Sort of okay. I don't know. I was absolutely, right off the bat, I'm going to make a recommendation. Go see this movie. Go see it this weekend. If you see it, let's make this movie make like $70-80 million so we can pretend like it didn't only make $10 million more than the shitty Ghostbusters movie. But man, I enjoyed the hell out of this movie. This movie took everything from the first two movies and then actually took stuff from Star Trek, surprisingly enough, and stopped making it into one of these Star Wars, Star Trek hybrids. And we actually got ourselves a real Star Trek movie that could totally fit in with the original series movies from back in the 70s and 80s. So, man, I'm not as objective as I could be about this, but, man, I fucking love this movie. Cried several times during the film in just pure joy and excitement and just how well it was being done. So, what'd you think of it? First impressions.
I liked it. It was good. Like you said before, it's more of a Star Trek film than the previous two. Mm-hmm. Which are more action-oriented. They're more sort of generic sci-fi movies, to sort of a lesser term I will give it, but lack of a better term. That's sort of how it was, but I still really like them. This one, though, it has a huge emphasis on sort of discovery and exploring, which I like seeing, which is something that I know that the original Star Trek series is a lot about. I never really watched it that much, so I don't know that much. But yeah, I really liked it. The cast was good. Story was good, lots of really good action. Some other positives from you?
Yeah, well, what they did in this movie was, first off, thank you, Simon Pegg, for writing a fantastic script. You can tell that he really cares about these characters, cares about Star Trek, and wanted to make something a little bit more than just kind of a fun action movie. It's not that I don't like the other two movies, but I think this movie is far and beyond better than the other two. Combined, to be quite honest. And then on our way home, I actually compared it to, I think I had just as much fun watching this movie as I did watching Force Awakens. And that's a bold statement that I don't know anyone is going to make online, but maybe me. What I liked is what they did with the characters. They did something a little different where they broke the characters kind of out into pairs. During the conflict to the resolution of the plot. I don't want to give away any spoilers. But you see it in the trailers, who's with who on the planet.
Yep.
But that was genius because you put the people who were never really together enough in the first two movies together, so you got to explore the characters a bit more. And that's what this movie's about. That's kind of what the other ones were about too. It's focused on how these characters interact with each other and interact with everything else that's going on. So. What do you think of the character pairings? I'm huge on that. So.
Well, I told this before. The best part of the movie is the moments between Bones and Spock.
Yeah.
The two of them working off each other is hilarious. You see a small smidgen of that in the trailer, and it makes for a good laugh. I wish we got a little bit more of that, but that's okay.
Yeah.
Another thing I really liked is how why I mentioned before in the Into Darkness review that we did last night. I would really like to. We got to see a little bit more of the Spock and Uhura relationship build, and they do go a little bit more into it. I would still like to see more, but there's also quite a bit. There are
more stories to tell.
Yeah, it's more stories to tell. It's a large cast, so you can't go too far into depth to it, but I liked what I saw. So.
Yeah, absolutely. We're going to talk a little bit about Idris Elba as the bad guy. I'd have to say if there was one little thing I'd nick on this movie, it'd probably be him.
Yeah.
It's not really him himself. His acting is great. The character looks good. He is menacing. But he's kind of floating through the plot instead of being like this menacing villain like the way, Khan is in the second movie.
Right.
Where like Khan is like, you're just like, oh my God, what's going to happen with him? And it's really more all the stuff that Idris Elba's character is orchestrating is the bad guy. So it's a much larger umbrella thing happening than just this kind of menacing villain. But once again, it doesn't really take away from the story because we're talking about the characters from Star Trek, and they nailed that so hard. It's just it blew me away at how well they actually finally nailed these characters to the ground and gave us something enjoyable to watch. And one of those things too I loved about this movie is like we belly laughed during this movie. Okay, I sat through a comedy that Paul Feig directed a week ago, and I didn't really laugh once. I chuckled a few times. This movie, I mean, I was like an idiot in the theater. I was laughing so hard. So, you know, like you get those kind of moments because of the characters, the acting, and the writing is just so well done. So
Yeah, like the villain is weak in this movie, but there's a huge emphasis on the characters of the USS Enterprise, and I really like that. But yeah, it's sort of going back to the first J.J. Abrams Star Trek movie, where the villain was the weakest part of it. Just sort of, he's evil because it's a revenge, sort of story for him, and it's sort of like, you sort of do that again. I wish they did something different, like they did with Khan in Into Darkness, which was fantastic. In this, Idris Elba, he does fine. The problem with his design is that he's done it's all in makeup. There's no CGI with it.
yeah, which is
And that's good, but the problem is that he's very constricted. He's not able to really move a lot or really express. Whenever an actor is in a lot of makeup and heavy costume, they have to sort of overact. I've heard someone make that. Yeah, I've heard someone can make that comparison before. I forget who says it, but they made that comparison before, and you have to really emphasize and really emote in order to really get full expression when you're in all that heavy makeup and all that heavy costuming. The mistake that Oscar Isaac did in X-Men Apocalypse.
Yeah.
You don't really get a performance out of him because he's all that huge costuming and all that heavy makeup, so it doesn't really work. Yeah. And when it gets to the end, when you find out his whole motivation, it's a decent motivation, but sort of just stuff that we've seen before time and time again.
Yeah, see, and then, when I got to the motivation part, I flat out did a in the theater because it just, I wasn't expecting that. You might feel the same way when you're watching this movie and you hit like the full-on climax. We're like halfway through the third act and this is about to happen. I was very surprised by that because of the tie-in with what happens. You see in the trailers the Enterprise gets destroyed. And what ends up happening
What movie doesn't it, so?
Yeah, so, and then, what happens is they, really does, this is always another one, but, they end up having to work together without the ship or anything in this one, and I think that's one of its absolute strong points, is because you split them away from it, and you're basically forcing everybody to take this plot to the ground and really work from the ground up with the characters, so, you talked a lot about the characters. Like I said, it's pretty much little negatives about the movie. The score I liked a lot. I don't think it was, to be honest, as strong as the scores from the first two. It didn't have those kind of orchestral swells that you like out of it. It's another tiny little thing I'd say about the movie. But very good use of sabotage. So for those of you who didn't like it in the trailer, you can just blow me. I love that trailer. I love that song. 300 years from now, we will be listening to the Beastie Boys. But no one will remember Sledgehammer. We got up and walked out of the theater before that song started. Thank God. But that's it for me, man. I'm a super recommendation for this movie. 10 out of 10, 100 out of 100, A+. I couldn't give it a better grade. I had a fantastic time watching this movie, and I encourage everyone to watch it. Go see it at the theater, like I said in the beginning, and then buy it on Blu-ray, and then, buy it on iTunes too. Give Simon Pegg your money, please. Paramount needs it, kids. What do you think?
Yeah, I would recommend this too. If you like the first two Star Trek movies by J.J. Abrams, you will like this one. If you're an old school Star Trek fan, I'm told that you will like this movie better than the J.J. Abrams directed movies.
Yeah.
I liked it. It was good character moments, good action, some good laughs. Weak villain, but you can get over that. So yeah, here's my recommendation.
Yeah,
I would give it a 10 out of 10, not an A+. I'll give it like a 7.5 out of 10.
Yeah, he's at a 9.99 out of 10. He really liked it. But yeah, that's another thing. Justin Lin, thank you. Everyone's worried about previous movies you've done, but I think you creamed this movie out of the park. So good job on your end as well. So that's pretty much it. So thank you everybody for watching. I hope you all go see the movie this weekend. And this might be the best summer blockbuster other than Civil War this year. Pretty close. So yeah. But so thank you for watching Mass Media Galaxy again. I am Brandon.
I'm Eric.
And remember to follow us on Twitter. Like and subscribe if you'd like to do all those things. Comment below. Let us know what you feel. And thank you for watching.
See ya.